Dean's ready to roll.
If anyone thought that, just put in intro. That was absolutely funny. We've got Mark Dean in the corner.
Hello.
Oh.
Oh, that was funny.
Go on then, Dan. Do the
Oh,
intro.
that was last.
Go on, this is a professional show here, Dan. Come on, you're up for an award.
Where the match?
Go on, this is a professional
Well, lad, we all be doing below me, I've got Let's Face It, aka Barnes and Luke. In the middle trim, I've got Michael, aka Barnes and Luke. Next to Michael, I've got Owen, who is Matt Dean for the night.
Hello.
Above Phil, above Matt Dean, I've got Phil.
Hi.
Next to me, I've got LJP.
Hello.
Hello. So then, guys, we're all live. What are your thoughts on the weekend's game?
Who wants to go?
Who's going to go first? I'll go first. I think it was not as good as we played Huddersfield, but I think it was a far better performance than what we have been at home. And I think that previously we're suiting on. I think we would have lost that game. I think it was good that half. I think when Grabbing went off, I think we lost direction quite a lot when Taylor came on. And I do think that, we're lucky. We were good to get in half time when we did. And then I think second half, I think we had a bit more fight with it. I think the wing backs are playing really well for us, both Lowe and Spence again. Absolutely class for us again. And I think that we've got a bit more grit and determination than previously games. I think previous games, I think we would have been 1-0 down and said, well, that's it. We're taking 1-0 defeat. And I think there's definitely a change, and I think that definitely comes from Cooper. I think that he's really. It's going to take a little bit of time for him to get settled in, for the players to take on board what he wants to do. But I think he's taking a lot of pressure off the players for once we all think that we've got one direction, and I think that will only benefit for us going forward.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. What you're saying in that one, LJP?
Similar to what Phil's just said, the wing backs have been very good since coming in, Lowe and Spence, and I think unlike Houghton, it's a lot more than just one-dimensional. Because I do think Cooper's definitely got a plan B and even a plan C if plan A goes wrong. And it's not quite as good as what we played against Huddersfield, but I think we played slightly differently to how we played against Huddersfield. It's still definitely an improvement to what we were playing under Houghton. It's a lot more on the ball. We want the ball more, which it can take a bit of time to settle in because for so many years we've played without the ball that we've kind of just said to teams, you have the ball, you attack us, that sort of thing that we've had. And we brought in Cooper to try and play this possession passing football, which I think is what Dane Murphy wants to play going forwards.
Completely agree. Just while LJP was talking, we've got Jack, Mr. Reliable in.
Hi, Jack.
But yeah, I completely agree with you with what you said there, LJP. What are your thoughts on it, Owen?
Well, I mean, I said I put something saying why are the fans moaning when we're 1-0 down? It's going to take time to adapt the system. And I can't remember the comments I got. I'm going to have to scroll back, but I CBA because I put so many tweets out about F1 in the last 24 hours. But I think our goal was a bit lucky on Saturday, but we'll take it.
Yeah, completely agree. And what do you think, Jack?
I think, well, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the game on Saturday, but from what I heard, it looked like we came out the second half, and I saw people tweeting about the response that it gave, that the boys gave. Whereas before, you saw us coming out for the second half, and it was no different to what you saw in the first. So to see that they actually came up with a reaction, from what I've heard, was really good to see. It seems like Cooper was able to actually do something in the dressing room, get a reaction out of the players, and get them actually fighting to do something. The wing backs, I've heard, they've been a real big plus point for the side. Obviously, Lowe getting on the score sheet. They both did really well against Huddersfield as well. So I think in this 3 at the back / 5 at the back system, with those 2 wing backs, we could be on something good there.
I do agree with that. We have got Jess saying hi. Good evening. Bubble Joe saying hi. Obviously, Luke's mate Patrick saying hi. Good evening, Patrick. Obviously, if anyone missed a joke from the start of the show, Owen came up past Mark Dean and put a picture of Mark Dean. With 4 verse into practice up completely. Obviously, he's laughing now. Patrick saying Dan the man with us. Honey Gun saying hi. Honey Gun. It's a talking point from Saturday because I know Niall Taylor did get quite a lot of criticism. I mean, they spent more time on the floor, but Patrick said Taylor needs to go and why has he kept on. I know I was a Bond fan, but it worn off now. So, yeah, how do you guys feel about Taylor?
Frustrating because when he came and Charlton played us, I thought he was a real handful, and I don't know what it is. Is it a step up? Is he like at Charlton? Was he a big fish in a small pond? But it comes to Forest, and he's a small fish in a massive ocean. And I'm not sure if it's that, which is because I talk to him a lot after matches, and he talks a good game. And when you see him internationally, he plays different. But I don't know if it's that syndrome of strikers coming to Nottingham Forest and we turn a good striker into a bad striker. Then he leaves in January and he scores 30 goals. So I don't know if it's he's not playing to his right foot, right style of play himself, or it's that previous clubs he was the number 1 player as such, and at us it might be his ego thing. It might be like when he was at Charlton, he was the best player for Charlton. And that ego with him, but when it comes to Forest, he's not that, is he? He's a second string with reserve striker. To be honest, and I'm not sure if it's that ego thing. Maybe what's not helping him at City Ground.
What do you say to that, Luke?
I don't know. He seems to be so far behind the defence when balls are coming in, like grabbing a beat across the defender, across probably the front posters, across coming in. But Lyle Taylor just more or less stands there with no movement.
Yeah.
There's a cross on the left in the first half. I believe it was where Johnson crossed instead of shot, and nobody moved that was in the box. It evaded everybody and went out on the other side.
Yeah.
And while I've got my talking point on, there needs to be more impetus from Yates and Connor I mean, I wasn't impressed with Garner first half anyway. I thought he was just strolling around. And Yates just did his usual passing backwards and just looking kind of like he's out of his depth. And I've been a massive Yates fan. But even I'm starting to get a bit bored of it now.
But the question was about Taylor, not Yates.
I know, but I wanted to bring it up.
Well, sorry, Dan.
Yes, I know. It's well. And what do people think to it, guys? About Taylor and Yates?
Well, I mean, I feel like with Taylor, he, like you guys have said, he seems to Grabban will be diving if a cross comes in, like we saw against Huddersfield. He'd be diving across the man and trying to head it in. But Taylor's literally like behind the defender. I feel like we need to play someone that's really quick, like Johnson up front, like what we said, which would open up a space for someone like Mighton to play on the wing, who's also really good, like really quick. And if we can just get pace into that front three against defenders, we hopefully can score goals.
Yeah.
Why don't we give Will Swan a chance?
Yeah.
Or Lawson? Because they are two class players from the academy, banging them in for under 23s. Or another option could play Johnson as a false nine like he has done for Wales and bring someone like Zink in or Carvalho in as number 10 and not play striker.
It could work. How do you feel about that, Jack?
I think it's a bit difficult, really. Obviously, I did think actually before the start of the season that we could try the false nine sort of thing. But I don't know how well that would work with the sort of system that Cooper goes for, with likes his five at the back. Whether we have more in the midfield would be a great idea. I'm not too sure, but I think, like touching on the Taylor point, there was one game against Derby last season where we needed a striker to hold it up, and you look at Taylor and you think that's what he can do. We were 1-0 up, we were going long up to Taylor trying to hold it up, and he just get the slightest bit of contact from the defender. It was down on the floor, begging for free kicks. I don't know what he offers. Like, he doesn't really. He's not the quickest striker in the world. He looks like a tall striker who you would put up there to kind of hold it up to bring in other players, but he's more pushing himself on the floor than staying up and backing into defenders. So I don't really know what we can do to try and play to his strengths, because I don't really know what they are, to be honest, other than taking penalties. So it's a difficult one, but I think Grabban's he looked good against Huddersfield, so hopefully we can get a bit more from him.
You second to that, LGP?
Well, on the Taylor thing, I feel like like pretty much everyone else has said, he looks for free kicks. He spends a lot of his time on the floor, which is not really what you want when you're a striker. You want to be chasing the ball, trying to win the ball in the air. And I think it was Owen who said this, the Grabban, when a cross goes across goal, Grabban tries to tap it in or head it in, whereas Taylor he sits behind the defenders and he sort of waits for like a defender to block it and then try and tap in the rebounds or something. But whereas Grabban tries to attack the ball more, and like I think the prime example is what he did against Huddersfield. Johnson put the cross in and then Grabban with a diving header, and we went 1-0 up. So yeah, I think I'm not too sure. Apparently, that Silver guy that we signed for West Ham is going to be starting against Barnsley on is it Wednesday? So we haven't seen much of him yet, so we'll see how he goes if he plays.
Yeah, definitely. We are going to touch on Barnsley for him because we have got Lucas, Mr. Barnsley.
I knew that was coming.
So we have got Barnsley perspective as well. You knew it was coming,
And-
Luke.
It took you 15 minutes to mention it, Dan. I was surprised it took you that long.
I was trying to be nice. Obviously, the Mark Dean thing took over, so
Yeah.
I just
I bet you're not bothered who wins on Wednesday, are you, Luke?
Oh, I'm so bothered. I'm so bothered.
Are you sure? Which, what colour will you be shouting for? Reds or some different colour?
You're making me roll.
you get comments coming in, guys, as well. Obviously, tell us what you want us to talk about as well. Obviously, Patrick saying not happy with the keepers. Ian saying NDCFT. I'm going to mention this because Ian been on me a little bit. They've started a bit of a Nottingham Dad's charity football team to try and raise funds for Dad. Obviously, they're going to do a bit of raffles and all that. So we'll try and get some more information when I can. Patrick's saying surprised Luke hasn't had a toilet break yet. Obviously, that joke's came back. So yeah, I knew the job that one. I seen it earlier. Saying me and my son went Saturday and we got Sandwich shirt. I'm not going to remember you putting something on. Not about that, Nathan. Jack BCFC saying yo. Yo. Fam. Yo. Jesse saying I weren't there Saturday, but how did Brennan play? How did you feel like Brennan played like on Saturday?
I think he tried to get into the game, but I think with Millwall are very physical and they're not a nice team to play, to be honest. And I think he was probably one of our main threats. And I think that the cross is what he did do. If we are grabbing there rather than Taylor, I think we might have won that game. But not as good as what he played against Huddersfield, but I still think he was very attacking minded, and I think sometimes he was in and out of the game. But then again, when you like that, when you got a lot more players around you. But one thing what he did do well was when he was being brought out of the game, it freed us up time, freed our wing backs up a lot, and so sometimes as a player, it's not really what you do on the ball. So he did a lot of off the ball, bringing players away from him to give like Spence and Lowe and everything like the wing backs the opportunity to get forward.
Yeah. Do any of you guys agree with that one?
No comment.
Yeah. And what do you think, Luke?
I agree. I actually agree. I have no other comment.
And what do you agree with that, LGP?
Yeah, I think Brennan did try to get into the game. I think, as Phil said, Millwall were quite a physical team, so it was quite difficult to get in behind and in at them. But it definitely did free up Spence and Lowe, and both of those players, I think, did have quite a good game. In fairness,
Definitely, I do agree with that. Owen, you got any comments on it?
I mean, I didn't watch the game, so I can't say.
Barnard's been poor since came back. I think there have been quite a few questions on James Garner. I mean, where do you stand on it, Jack?
I think I've noticed in a few games that I watched, especially a Derby game, Middlesbrough game as well that I was at, he just looked anonymous. Like you couldn't really tell he was playing. Like he didn't really have any effect on the game. Whereas last season he was probably the standout man from our team. He was getting on the ball, making things happen, scoring goals. He didn't do anything. Like I wouldn't, you wouldn't be surprised if you didn't know he was even playing. It was bizarre. I don't know. You look at sort of I don't know whether it's anything to do with this, but Colback was good first time he came. Now he's come back, he's been poor. It's just, I don't know, it's a real shame because he's a real good young talent and someone on his day who can really be that progressive midfielder we need. But he's just been really anonymous in the games I've seen, and he's just not offered anything, which is a real shame.
Yeah, completely agree. And oh, Luke's gone. Obviously, the Barnsley thing got too much. But yeah, and you guys agree with what Jack just said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
think. No, okay. I think Ghana. I'm not sure of the standards. I'm not sure if it's to do with the standards because with how Ghana came in and straight away he set himself at a 8, 9, 10 out of 10 player as soon as he came in, and he was exceptional. He arguably saved our season, and maybe the standards were very, very high. Too high for him, maybe. I don't think they are. I think he can still meet the standards that he set for the second half of last season. It's just, I think it's a case of getting that first goal contribution, whether that's a goal assist. Because I think that there still is that good player there. I think it might just take a little bit more time to suit with the Cooper system, but I think there still is definitely a top class player there. It's just a case of probably getting that first goal contribution for him.
Do you think it's the pressure of the playing in front of the crowds? I mean, last season when he did play again, play for Forest, I mean, he didn't have no crowds to actually finish there. Do you feel like the pressure of the crowd probably is getting to him, coming from youth football into first team football?
That could be a really good point, actually. I think you might be right because it is a big step up, and I thought last year, like what had been said, he was probably by far one of our best players. But this year he seems to be a bit lost in that midfield. But then again, is that because Johnson's took the step up and made him look a worse player than what he has played? Because like Jono's come in and really stepped up to the level even higher.
Yeah.
But but he does feel a bit. I mean, Huddersfield, he had a good game, but he still doesn't. I don't know. There's just something seems missing with him, that spark at the moment, and maybe that first goal might get him going again. But then again, he's had rumours are that in January, Man U might take him back if that's true. But I hope he is a class player and he is something in there. But I do think that maybe it could be the fans or the pressure, especially with the Forest fans, because this season, home and away, we have been outstanding. The sport, home and away, you to see the position what we've been in. They cannot, they can't diss the home and away fans and the following what we've had.
Yeah, we have got a really big following. I mean, following this season just been, even for how bad it's been, the following just been outstanding.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we sold out for the next 2 away games anyway, and if we would have said it this time after the Middlesbrough game, I would have slapped your hands off. But I mean, we have got sold out that next 2 away games, which is brilliant.
You know what I thought was quite interesting? Like the interview with Cooper was saying about excited about the next 2 games what we've got and looking forward to it. And I do think that one thing what has been really refreshing and hopefully might buy on with the team and the players and the fans and everyone going in that direction, how honest and focused he is and straight talking, where normally I think if that was Chris Hughton, he would have said Millwall this, but he's quite frank, and I think that's one thing what I did enjoy with his after match interview, how frank and honest he was. And I think that's only a good thing for not only the fans but also the players to know that when they haven't done something very good, I think he's the man that I think he's definitely going to tell them.
Definitely, I do agree with that. Do you guys agree with it?
Yes, I do. Whereas, like, I think going into the Millwall game and going out of the Millwall game, Houghton would have been saying they're a very tall team, they're a very physical team, they're a very this team, they're a very that team, instead of focusing what we did well and what we didn't do so well. So, and I think Cooper is a very, Phil just said, he's a very straight to the point, very frank person. And also, just going to touch back on Ghana for a second, I feel like if anyone's going to unlock the top class player that is in Ghana that we've seen last season, I do think it would be Steve Cooper because of his track record of developing young players and his work with Ghana before. So yeah.
Completely agreed, to be fair. Do you agree with that one, Jack?
Oh yeah, I think he's had him as captain before, in some of his youth teams. So he definitely has got a manager with him now who has worked with him before, knows what he wants him to do. Sorry, knows what the sort of expectation levels are from the manager. So I think it's only a good thing. It's someone I don't want to say comfortable with because you don't want to be comfortable as a footballer. You always want to be striving to be the best you can be. But it's someone he knows, he's worked with before. And he's really able to hopefully push on with and build a good on and off the pitch relationship with him. Just touching back on with the Houghton comments, I think the fact that we have a manager now who focuses on us rather than the opposition might just give the players that thought of, because if you've got a manager who's always highlighting the difficulties the opponents are going to face, it's just going to make the players be wary of that even more. Whereas now we have a manager who's saying, our team can do this, we're going to do this, our strengths are this that we'll offer against our opponents. It'll make the players think, they'll switch their mindset to thinking, actually we can give this a go. We don't have to worry about what they can offer. We know what we can offer. Our manager's bigging us up in the press conferences saying that this is what we can do. This is what he believes we're able to do. So that sort of switch in the mentality could be, that could really help us, spur us on into games rather than getting us into a game knowing exactly what to worry about. We're going into the game knowing exactly what we can make them worry about, which can be really helpful.
Definitely.
Oh, dear. What do you think about Finny? Do you think that Cooper has been a bit help putting the pace on our players to say we can do this, and this, LGB?
Yes, definitely, because I feel like, obviously, as I said, his track record with developing young players can work wonders with Brennan Johnson, James Garner and Alex Myton. But I think he sort of, in his press conference, post-match interviews, all of his interviews, he says he focuses on what the opponent should be afraid of, and after the game, what we could have improved on, instead of talking about how fantastic their centre midfielder is. He's focusing on
how
what
we were
we
good
can
in the
do.
first half and we weren't, especially in that Stoke game after that.
Well, I've got a couple of comments coming in from Michael about Luke being he got money on Barnsley and saying good man. It was a Bubble Joe saying how far should get games and need to get us right in January. I mean, yeah, we got Owen AK Matt Dean agreeing with that.
I think we need to really get a striker in January, and I think Horvath, you brought Houghton brought him in, and then he made that big mistake, and then immediately Stephen Reid dropped in the game after. So it's a tough one, that goalkeeping position, because Samba kept a clean sheet against Huddersfield. I know he has made some mistakes, but he kept a clean sheet. And just I've seen Jack BCFC's comment, how many points will we get in the next 6 games? We've got Barnsley, Birmingham, Blackpool, Bristol City, Fulham and QPR. And then after that 6th game, we've got Sheffield United. So that tough run is Fulham, QPR and Sheffield United.
That is true, what you just said. I mean, that comment coming up. But what do you guys think we'll do from this comment?
I feel like 3 points against Barnsley, maybe 1 against Birmingham, which means 4 already, and then we've got to get 3 points against Blackpool, so that's 7. Bristol City away, they've got a couple of draws at home, so I think we'll get a draw there. And then Fulham and QPR, I think we'll lose, so I think we'll get 8 points out of the next 6.
Do you agree with that, Jack?
Yeah, around about that number. I'd say we always seem to ironically struggle against Barnsley away, so not holding too much hope for that one. But I think, yeah, I could see us getting that sort of points tally. It's a difficult run. There's teams in that we struggle against. Like I said, Barnsley. We always seem to draw against Bristol City away. So, yeah, I'd kind of agree with that sort of points tally, there or thereabouts. But yeah, I think especially in like games against Blackpool, we need to make sure that we make that game, those sorts of games count. Make sure that we're not dropping silly points against them, and then I think we'll be all right if we do that.
Yeah. Luke and Henry saying if we could get any striker in January with a 2 million budget, who would you get?
What, 2 million budget?
Yeah. A cracking question to put on Luke and putting out specialized panel on the spot.
I think if we're going to go for someone for 2 million, I think you're going to have a look at who's the leading goal scorer or scoring well in like League One, League Two, because either you're going to have to, it's a difficult one to say because like 2 million, you're either going to get someone who's have been, and then we're going to have another striker who's like 30, 31, or you've got to go for someone really young. But I can't think of anybody for around that price who. And then again, if we do get a young striker, wouldn't we better just try and bet in Will Swan because he's still scoring loads in the academy? It's a really difficult one what to say because we definitely need a striker, but then we haven't really seen much of Silver yet, so we don't know how he's going to bet in or whatever. But I can't think of anybody top of my head for £2 million. And another issue is, are you going to get a striker capable enough to take us up for 2 million? Because that's not a lot of money for a striker.
Not in this league.
No. You're either going to... I mean, for me in January, I'd rather keep Johnston and then try and keep Worrell, one of the two, and not... So difficult one what to say because like in this league 2 million is not going to get us very much, is it?
No. You agree with that, Jack?
Yeah, I think it 2 million is quite difficult. I mean, we did obviously want to get, or I don't know if we actually did want to get him, but there were reports that we were close to getting Josh Madger. So he was 4 million, and I think that sort of player would help us to get where we need to be. 2 million, I'm not entirely sure. I think that might just add to a player of a similar quality to what we already have. I think if we have 2 million in the budget, we've got to try and look at if we can secure one of the wing backs, Lowe or Spence, on a permanent, because I think that's more, with that sort of cash, is more important than that sort of thing. And we've got youngsters coming through. I think if I had to say a striker, I would probably, like Phil said, look at someone coming up from League One, someone who's doing well there, in and around the January window, who's scoring goals in that way. If I had to.
Which striker would you go for, LGB?
Well, so if we've got a £2 million budget, what I would do is I would dip into the loan market and, if possible, look at that Manchester City young striker. I think it's Liam Delap or something like that. He's been doing for their youth, and with Steve Cooper having good connections to younger players, and I think we could definitely develop him. I think, and then we'll also, with other funds, try and secure Bents and Lowe on permanent deals. I doubt we would get them both on permanent deals in the same window, but try and get them on permanent deals, whether that's in January or next summer. But because they've been probably our two best players this season, along with maybe Brennan Johnson as well. I think since they've both come in, they've been brilliant. And yes, I think Liam Delap on a loan, I think, and try and get Cooper to develop him as the striker.
Yeah.
You know what he might do? You know, with his connections with like being at Liverpool and England, he might already know somebody like already. You know what I mean on there. But then again, I do think that again we've got Will Swan again who is banging them in. So, you know, is it worth not having them on the bench, him and Lawson or whatever, just to try and give him out? But it's really difficult when you bring in the younger players up that level, because when your team's not doing so well, the pressure on them is going to be immense.
Yeah.
Compared to like if we're like high up in the league and we're 1-2-0 up and then bringing them on for their experience. It's really. But then the great man used to say, if you're old enough and you're good enough, you're old enough to play. So, maybe that someone like that coming in who might have no fear.
Yeah.
It might. I think early on, between now and January, I think it's a perfect opportunity. Try and get out and have a look at some of the academy players who we've got. And we've got some very, very good academy players, just to see about what they'd be like coming on next 20 minutes, because you never know. We've got players, and I think in the academy who are better than Mighton.
Yeah, well, I've got BCFC said if we play how we're playing in our last 3 games, I reckon you might have a chance against us. We've got good fans and at minute with our stadium as well. It's been on Saturday, so I've got interesting to see. I did see it coming up here somewhere. That was it. He would just don't know from LGB's back that he would keep if I had one permanent chance. Cracking question. You put you on the spot again.
I know I'll probably pick. I think I'll probably pick Spence, but because I think, oh gosh.
Hey, would you pick that?
It's a difficult one because I was just weighing it up. Spence is a younger player, so under Cooper, you can help him to develop, help him to flourish and go forward. But then in terms of our left-back position, we've got, other than Lowe, Bong, and then I guess Asai Tutu can play there. So in terms of that, you've got not very many options in terms of the left-back position. In the right-back position, I mean, again, you have got another player on loan, Asai Tutu, who has been injured. So it's tricky, but I would pick. Oh goodness me! Do I go with the youth development or do I go with a player in a position? I'll go with Lowe because I don't want Bong to start, but I'd like them both if we could get both.
Who would you go for, LGP?
Oh, I'm just weighing it up in my mind. It's an absolutely brilliant question, but I think you've got Tutu who can play in both of those positions, and Max Lowe, he's got a slight bit more experience, but again, they're both class players. Jed Spence, I think if you're gonna talk like from a financial perspective, I think Spence might be a little bit cheaper, but I may just edge Spence. But I want us to keep both of them on permanent deals. But that is a great question.
It is.
Mr. Luke Barnes, fan saying Garner's MI. Missing Cafu. Luke and saying, who's your favourite player so far? And these questions are, I feel like we're on chase tonight.
Yeah.
Guys, please, got some good questions.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, it's going to be a choice of two. And I think it's going to either be Jono and Spence. And I think for his performances since coming to us, I think for me this year, I think Spence has been the best player we've had on the pitch. And that was so hard question to answer. But I think looking at the games, what I've seen him play, I think I'm going to stick my neck out for Spence on this one.
And then, lad, what you did for LJP or Jack?
I think for me it's between the two wings, so it's between Spence, Lowe, and Brennan. I might just edge Brennan because they're all a joy to watch, but just watching Brennan run past players effortlessly is absolutely a joy to watch. But I would probably it's in between those three for me.
Which
On
one?
the bench.
Yeah.
I'd agree it's between those three. I mean, my favourite player altogether at Forest is Wall, but based on this season, I would probably give it to. I mean, it would be out of those three, but I would give it to Johnson. I think something that really highlighted it for me was when we were. I mean, that Middlesbrough game was one of the worst games that I've seen Forest play in a very long while, and he was the one who was still trying. He was getting the ball, running at the defender, trying to make things happen with very little support, and the real determination he was using, and just when everybody else seemed up sticks and down tools, he was the one really trying and really going for it. So for me, I think seeing that when the team were at the lowest, he was still running at defence, giving it everything he could. I think for me, he would be my favourite so far this season.
Luke, I'm saying Sambo Hufar.
I'm
not going first on this one.
Right, I'll go first. Oh, Samba. Played very well against Huddersfield to his credit, but I think prior to that, Coventry, he made a mistake which led to their second goal. But then you could also, on the flip side, look, he couldn't have done much more. On the flip side, you could have also said that the defence should have cleared it. So, and then Bournemouth, I believe he got beat on his near post, which as a goalkeeper, it should never happen. And then, what's the third game? Oh, crikey, I forgot. Then he made I don't think Derby, he was kind of caught flat-footed in my opinion. When Lawrence got the ball, him and Bong were caught a bit flat-footed. But then again, he put a very good performance in against Huddersfield. So, and Millwall, I don't think he could have done much more with the goal. But I don't think Millwall had loads of other on target shots that he could have saved. But then Horvath has been class. I know one of the cup games he got battered 4-0, but he still played. He kept the scoreline respectable in that game. Bradford, he was all right. And you see, he gets his league chance, and then he gives the ball to Middlesbrough. So you can make a case for either of them. Oh, this is very difficult. I feel like Horvath does deserve maybe 2 or 3 more league chances before I could have my decision set in stone.
Yeah.
I might just edge right now Horvath, because when you think about it, he's only made the one mistake in this season, whereas Samba's made 2 or 3. But I'd just have to see Horvath in maybe 2 or 3 more league games before I could really judge him.
And then Jack, which one would you choose?
I think the downside to Horvath is the fact that he's not too great with the ball at his feet. He looked like he was very right-footed. He struggled to receive the ball on his left-hand side. He always had to take the ball across himself to get it to his right foot. So if Cooper wants his goalkeepers on the ball, building the play from the back, then that'll be a problem with Horvath. I think shot stopping, he beat Samba hands down. I mean, like LJP said, there was a lot of poor goalkeeping. I mean, there was one, I can't remember what game it was, but there was a shot. It was the Cardiff game, a shot from outside the box that they scored with. It wasn't even a great shot. It sort of just went straight through his hands, like he had no real power behind the ball. So it's really difficult. You've got one keeper who's good making shots, like making saves, catching the ball, and then one who's good with his distribution. I think I'd rather have a keeper who's good making the saves, as that's what the keeper's meant to do. So I think Horvath just shades it for me. But I think if he works on his distribution, which you can work on that. So I think if he can get the balance between that, Horvath will just shade it for me. But if he wants to be a bit more ball dominant, then it would have to be Samba in terms of that. But I'd go with Horvath for me.
Dan himself.
I think it's been really difficult one what to pick, because like Horvath hasn't really been given like real proper game time, and when I've seen him, he's done really well. But if you're not confident with the defenders above you, we haven't seen him play with 3 centre backs in front of him. So, he might be better because he might be a bit more confident like who's in front of him rather than what he was, under Chris Hughton time. So, and I think Samba's been very disappointing to his high levels from last year. And yes, he had one good game at Huddersfield, Samba, but he's been more of a liability this year. So I would probably give it till Birmingham with Samba, and then change it if he keeps making these mistakes, I think.
Yeah, completely agree. Thanks for the sub, Laquan. Obviously, if anyone don't know, I'm back on Sunday morning football with, I know Michael Football FC, but I'm with Port Tavern FC. Laquan saying Swansea paid $1 million for Pereiro. That going back to our conversation with about the strikers.
Yeah.
Bubble saying Martin need more chances. I did question that on Saturday actually, because coming on with the last 3 minutes, yeah, fair enough, fresh legs, but we should have given him a lot longer.
Do you actually think Martin is as good as what people think he is?
No.
What do you think is worse?
I don't think he's worse. I think Brennan's a lot more further ahead in his development than Martin, personally. I actually think Martin just needs that one of the games in League One just to probably develop a lot more.
I know what you're saying, but I'm not sure if I don't know if we might be better with Martin to send him out on loan for in January for just to get him a bit more hardened, like maybe a bit like what Brennan's done. Went to Lincoln, got battered a bit, got pushed around by defenders who go, and I just think that might in the long run might do him a world of good. Because when he comes on, I'm just not sure if he's ready for the for the championship yet myself.
Yeah. Do you lot agree to that? I've got Owen in the chat. So hello, Owen.
Hello,
Hello.
back.
Owen's back.
Hi, Owen.
Hey, up.
Hello.
AKA Mike Dean.
I was just waiting for that. Class. What do you think, guys? Do you feel like Matt? I need to Matt Dean then. You need to go out and learn.
Yeah, he might do because, like, I think it was Phil said he might. I don't think he's ready for the championship yet. But maybe give him till January and then make the decision.
Definitely. Do you agree with that, Jet? Or would you want to keep him?
It's difficult with a player like Myton because whenever he gets the ball, he's so quick that defenders just clamp him every single time. You know, it's difficult for him to really get that opportunity, I suppose, to really show what he can do, because every time he's on the ball, he's got two players pushing him off the ball. They're just terrified of what he can do. I think maybe if he did go to League One, it might give him that opportunity to work out maybe in a team that's he's going to get every game week in, week out. Opportunities of ways he can get past the defenders, ways he can be a bit more streetwise, that sort of way he's going to come up against a lot of physical players. So he'll have a lot of experience in doing that. I don't think it will be a bad thing. Maybe it could, give him that experience to come back like Johnson did and be a bit more streetwise, a bit more smarter in terms of his play. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing if he gets regular football week in, week out, where he's starting and he's one of the main players in the side. I think it could be good for him.
Yeah. It's a good question, and I think, well, Bubble Joe saying grab an O'Taylor, but I think that's a bit of not a daft question, Tassis, but I think we all know that what everyone's saying this.
Grab him.
Lucan said easily grabbing, and here's a good question. Obviously, we touched up on it earlier as well, and just saying Luke's not here to answer this question. But who would you play up front against Barnsley?
Silver. And then swap him around if the need be, swap him around with Johnson playing up front. Because he's done, Wales has tried that with Johnson before, haven't they, when Barry weren't playing. So, if you have a look at, probably who's going to play Barnsley. If it's Silver, I'd imagine Lolly's going to be one and Johnny's going to be the other. I mean, Silver can play in the wing. The only shot I've seen him play was like when they'll hit the corner flag. So, he's shooting better against Barnsley. But I suppose with it, for the fee, I'd probably go with Silver, but my gut feeling is that Cooper, I don't know. I think if I was Cooper, I think he would have been very frustrated with Taylor on Saturday by falling down all the time. So I think if Silver's 100% fit, I think it's a good opportunity to give him an opportunity, because obviously we've got two games coming up. Birmingham is probably more of a Taylor game, if anything, because they're very strong and physical compared to Barnsley.
How do you guys feel about it?
I personally would go with Silver because what we've seen of him is 15 to 20 minutes of him in one of our worst games so far this season. So you can't judge him massively, but say we give him 70 to 90 solid minutes against Barnsley with, say, Lolly and Brennan or Zinkernagel or whoever you want to put in with him, and then we'll see how he goes then. But you see, we can't judge him on less than half an hour of football in one of our worst games this season. And I'm just going to touch on the Mighton thing that we were saying about earlier. With Mighton, what did he come on for 3 minutes against Millwall?
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been the perfect game for him because he's done well against Millwall, but I think a physical team, if he can get past, if he could get the ball in behind them, then I think he could have done well there. But I think Phil was saying he can get pushed off the ball quite easily, which I do agree to a degree with that, and possibly a loan to League One. But I think we should only loan him out to League One if he's guaranteed football week in, week out. I just think he needs to be a little bit more physical. I think he's almost there. I think he's like 80% there from being the complete player that he can be. But I think he goes to League One, gets consistent games like Brennan Johnson did at Lincoln. Then he comes back like Brennan. Then I think we've got a quality player there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that one. I think you nailed it on the head there, LJB. I've got KI said we're going down the legend. Hope you're well. Liverpool I put on pretty much I reckon Forest should go for any of the Sheffield United strikers because they have McGoldrick, Sharp, Mousset, McBurn, Bruce on Burt. Well, just name 3 strikers there.
None. But they well paid, overpaid, and we had McGoldrick out, didn't we? We've had Billy Sharp, we've had Burke, and I don't think any, they're all going to be on stupid amount of money, and I'm sure we can get a far better player than any of the Sheffield United strikers. So my answer is none of them.
Do you guys agree to that?
Yeah. Yes and no. I would probably So what? All of them. So we've got David McGoldrick, Billy Sharp, Musette, McBurney, Brewster, and Burke. I think Billy Sharp. I think he could come in and maybe be an impact for a season. I think there's still a good championship player in Billy Sharp, but I don't think he would want to leave Sheffield United. I think he'll probably want to stay there until his career is done, if I'm honest. David McGoldrick, I don't think he will be too bad, but personally, I think we need to look for a younger player that's done it in the championship. Mousset, I'm not too sure because he's not really played consistent games. McBurney, it depends on the wages and what Sheffield United want the transfer fee for. Brewster, I think I wouldn't mind because, all right, he's been very, very, very poor against since joining Sheffield United, scoring what I believe was it 1 goal, and that was against Carlisle United in the cup. And I think, and I wouldn't mind Brewster because he was very, very, very good with Steve Cooper at Swansea City. That's why I'll take him. Oliver Burke, again, very similar to Mousset, he's not played that much football. Recently, so we would need to get him match sharp, match fit. So I would take Brewster out of all of them and Bernie depending on money.
Them both were on silly amount of money though, both of them.
Yeah, that's the only thinking. On that.
If we had any of them 2 strikers come in, they would be the highest paid players at our club. And I think you can get far better strikers more hungry strikers than them two. But I take your point about with Cooper working with them before, but I just think that financially, financially it would really, really be a big step up on wages. I think really we could go elsewhere for cheaper. I'm not saying that cheaper wages are better, but with the performances of what they've played this year and probably last year, I think you can get far better players.
Yeah. Charlie Brown saying Bruce is still quite young and will develop at some point. And would you take Brewster if there was an opportunity to take Brewster, say that on loan for the rest of the season, we pay 50% of his wages? Would you take him, Jack?
Yeah, I think if 50%, I'd probably say yes. I think you look at how he did with Brewster at Swansea. He was really, really good, and with that manager again, someone that he had good times with, someone who was confident under. I think it's a decent. It'll be a decent loan. Half his wages it'd still be a lot for this level, but it wouldn't be too bad. And we've seen what he can do in the Championship. So I think on this coach, I'd give him a go.
Yeah. Charlie Brown, he said, is Eddie Nicky to a viable option on loan. I believe he was linked twice over a year back.
Yes.
How do you get it?
I think he was available when he got recalled by Arsenal from Leeds. And I don't know why we didn't actually get him back then, but I've seen some articles saying that Arsenal would only loan him out if it was a Premier League club that went in for him. If that's the case, then it's unlikely to get him, but I would still take him because I think he's young, he's got a very good burst of pace, which I think out of all of our strikers, not sure about Silva yet, but I think we need a bit of pace. But yeah, so I think I would take, just going to add on to your point, Dan, that I would take Bruce, let's say we played half of his wages for second half of the season. I would take him that. It still would be, 20 grand, 15, 20 grand if we pay 50% of his wages. But yeah, I'll probably take, Nketiah on loan or Brewster on loan. I'm just not sure if Arsenal want to loan out Nketiah to a Championship club.
Yeah, how would you feel to that, Jack?
I'd be happy with Nketiah. I doubt it will happen. He does seem to be involved a little bit with the Arsenal first team, started for them in the cup and things like that. So I don't think it'll be very likely. Would I take him if we could? Definitely. I think you've seen what he can offer when he's been given a chance at Arsenal. I think it didn't really work out for him at Leeds, but I'd give him a chance. Like LJP was saying, he's got that burst of pace. He's got that that speed that we're lacking up front. So I'd give him a go, but I think it's very doubtful that we'll be able to get him in.
And I actually seen a chat thingy, but Charlie Brown just put Forest could. Here it is. Forest could also challenge club for Dion Charles. I mean, Forest have been linked with Dion Charles throughout the summer, but somehow we haven't gone in good for him. So we don't know if Luton said no, if the board said no, or we're not sure actually. A bit of a weird one.
I think Dion Charles I would take because apparently Accrington Stanley's price is about 1.5 million. So I think I would take Dion Charles, but he's also Charlie Brown's also said Jephcott. I think Plymouth they've outpriced Jephcott. I do think Jephcott's definitely still a class player. I just think that Plymouth valued him at 5 million. Then he signed another 2-year contract, and I believe they were talking about 7 million for Jephcott. So it would be a lot of money for a Championship side to bring in an unproven player. I have no doubts that Luke Jephcott is a top quality player and probably Championship level, but it's a massive gamble to pay upwards £5 to £7 million, and that's a lot of pressure on Luke Jeffcott's shoulders as well. So yeah.
But look at what Brentford's done with their past history, picking League One players out for £5 million, and unfortunately, with a striker, when you're buying any striker, you're always going to pay £2 million more than what you know a central defender will be. You know what I mean. And I think sometimes, but I agree. Both of the players are. I think I could see them in a Dane Murphy's model. And maybe if you buy someone for like £7 million, you won't pay £7 million straight away. You'll be in installments, like what I did with Carvalho. So, you know, so you got to. But the only issue what you have got, depending where we are in the league between now and January, other clubs, if they do come available, other clubs higher up may be more of an opportunity or a better option for them to leave, to go to them than us. I think it's really important that whoever we get in, and we do need some younger strikers because Gavin's getting old, Taylor's 31. I think Taylor will probably go in January. And I think sometimes, with him, you know, with strikers, you're always going to end up paying 2-3 million more than what you really want to for a equivalent player. And I think it might be, for our club, might be a good way to, you know, to test the water and just see what, you know, if we can get both of them.
Yeah. I mean, Charlie Brown has put, so preferably be an experienced 25 to 28-year-old Forest should look into.
I would say no older than 28 because I don't think we should really bring anyone in the 30s. But I would say we want someone who's younger but has got, I think, a little bit of experience in the Championship.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what we need. To probably like someone like a 23, 24, 25 maybe.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, being in the Championship, you either, for that age, they're either at the clubs what they want to be, or they're not playing very well when other clubs want to get rid of them. Because you don't really want to sell to your competitor, do you? So you either got to go on for a stupid amount of money and say, we want this player and his value, say, 5 million, we're going to pay you 10 million, and end up being like them locked down the A52. Or we go League One and say, we want that player because we can pay 5 million. It's a step up for them. And I think looking for someone in the Championship, either if they're going on loan to the other club, there's an issue. Why would you want your strikers to go on loan to other Championship clubs? Or we're going to end up having to spend a hell of a lot of money for a striker to prize them away. So I think the options are League One, or look at the other under-23 squads in the Premier League where they want a striker or one of the strikers to get a bit more experience. But would you rather have a League One striker banging in the goals? Yeah, he might take a little bit more time to settle into the Championship, but if you've got, you know, and if you're getting battered in League One or you know how physical it is, I think you've got more of a chance to do it in the Championship rather than if you're a Premier League club coming down from playing in the academies, coming into the Championship side when you've got teams like, you know, defenders like what we played up against Millwall kind of thing. So that's the only thing what, and I think we need to look at a model from 22 to 25-year-olds personally, because if you do get them and they do turn into better players, you've got more of a better chance to have a higher value to sell that player on than you have buying a 28-year-old and then, you know, we spend what, 30 million on grabbing, you know, and he's 34 now, so, you know, it's probably worth $1 million, is it? You know?
Good point, that is. How do you feel about that, lads?
Well, I think with Graben, I think we've paid 6 million for him,
Yeah.
and would you
I
agree that he's
We need to for someone young that that has a lot left.
Yeah.
Someone's squeezing up a little bit there.
Yeah. How do you feel, Jack?
I'm gonna have to go in a minute, by the way, just to let you know.
Yeah.
But I think with Murphy's system at the minute, he's looking at younger players. He's looking at bringing in players, and with Cooper at the helm, he's looking at getting in younger players. So I think if we're going to get a striker, it's going to be a youngster. It's going to be someone that we can build up, potentially sell on for more, or take with us as we build up going forward. So I don't think it will be an experienced striker. We've already got 2 of those anyway. I think it will make more sense and be more likely to be a young striker for me. I think that will be the way that we'll go if we do look to bring one in.
And we heard that, is it rumours that we're after that Japanese player?
Yeah, there was reports of that.
Suzuki or something like that. Yeah, he'd get a free motorbike.
Yeah.
I mean, for marketing wise, gosh, that'd be worth it just for the marketing revenue in Japan, wouldn't it?
Oh, they like.
I'm not seeing him play, but you know, he's a young striker, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Right then, lads. It's been a cracking show as per usual. Obviously, thank you for Michael, aka Michael. Obviously, Mr. Luke Turton, aka the Barnsley fan. You have to go early, soon you start talking about Barnsley. I'd like to say thank you for Matt Dean, aka Owen, for coming on.
I'm surprised he ain't gave no yellow and red cards like that.
Oh no, I was expecting you.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm back.
Matt Dean.
Sorry,
thank you for Jack for coming on.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thank you for Phil for coming on.
You're welcome, mate, anytime.
And thank you for LGP for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Are we having a VAR decision, Mike? Yeah. Right then, lads. Thank you very much, and thank you for all the comments, lads. It has been a cracking show for the viewers for watching. You have lasted this long, so thank you, guys, and goodbye.